order. Thank you so much. Let's see, this is the City of Alpine Animal Advisory Board. Notice is hereby given that the Animal Advisory Board of the City of Alpine, Texas will hold a meeting. Oh, Lauren's here. At 6 p.m. on Thursday, May 12, 2022 at City Council Chambers located at 803 West Holland Avenue and via Zoom video conference. For the purpose of considering the attached agenda, meeting login details may be found at the city website. And this notice is posted pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Action items approved at this meeting will be considered by the City Council for final action. That was my call to order. We have a quorum. Lauren, you're welcome to sit next to Janine if you want to. You can sit over there. It's up to you.
I'll sit here. Thank you.
All right. Any public comments? It's not.
Nobody in the public.
Nobody in the public. We're all on
If
the
somebody comments, I'm leaving.
There be a ghost. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Did everybody get a chance to read the April 12, 2022?
I did, and I have a question
All
on,
right.
on a motion by Board Member McCall and seconded by Board Member Vega. Who's that? Oh,
Mary
okay.
Ann.
All right, I just recognize, and I don't see that your name is in the,
I know, somehow it wasn't on
Well,
there.
so it needs to go up
That
there
needs to
then.
be corrected. All right. And does anybody have a motion to accept with the corrections?
I so move.
A second?
Second.
Okay. And we have a presentation tonight from the Alpine Humane Society on Human Animal Support System, AKA known as HOS program. I think everybody remembers last time that we're here, we discussed a spay-neuter ordinance, and it was kind of the consensus of this group that that would be really difficult to do until we had a better responsible pet ownership and human animal support. So Janine has offered to give us the presentation of what the Humane Society is doing in that regard. So I'll turn it over to Janine.
Okay, Gio is gonna play my video, I think, because we didn't want to have audio feedback. So I sent it to him. And we don't necessarily have to start with that, so maybe we'll.
Well, he may be, there he
Ah,
goes.
there we go.
He's good. I
Yeah.
guarantee you.
Okay, he does do magic.
I told you.
It does have audio with it. Okay, Nope, we don't have any audio, Gio.
Let's do a little more magic.
Yeah, need more magic.
God, it was so good.
And
quick.
I could screen share it, but I think you have to mute their mics.
We'll go ahead and if you can unmute, I'll mute the council chambers and then you could share it there.
Okay, let me try that. And yeah, see, we've got feedback. Yeah. Any thoughts, Gio? Mute that one down. Okay. All right. There we go. Well, we're glad we have. Oh, see, that's gonna work. Okay. One more. Okay.
That should work.
I think you've got it. Okay, so I'm going to do share screen. I'm going to do this, share, and I'll maximize this, and here we go. Nope, still don't have it, Gio.
That's not going to system.
Yeah, it's not going through the system. But somebody's coming through the system. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Gio, we don't have any audio coming through the system that way. He probably did. Yeah.
You'll just need to turn your volume up.
It's all the way up.
It is?
Okay, don't worry about it. It's not that important.
Okay.
I'll kind of let it run. But what they're talking about here is the fact that there are a lot of different ways that people come in contact with animal services. And these are some of the ways. And you know, rather than just say, well, okay, too bad, we're just going to take your animal. There are things that we can do. And that very little dog laying on his back there for euthanasia makes me very sad. But, you know, so those are some of the outcomes. And not that many pets always get reunited with their owners for various reasons. And sometimes those reasons are something we can do something about if we kind of look at things on a bigger picture level and think about people and their circumstances. And that is kind of the whole aspect of what the Human Animal Support Services, which is HASS, H-A-S-S, and also HABRI, which is H-A-B-R-I, the Human Animal Bond Research Institute. And they're all looking at this as the animal shelter becoming more of a community-centered organization. And, you know, it was funny because I was thinking about Jennifer, because a lot of what I wanted to say, I needed to hurry up behind it and say, this is not to put more burden on animal services. So where organizations like Big Bend Pets, Alpine Humane Society come in is to assist with some of these additional interfaces into the community where we're making life easier for animal services, and we're also making life easier, we hope, for pets. So actually, I'm just going to stop sharing this because it's not really doing a whole lot for us, and Gio can put everybody back. So on my little outline here, which is one of your top pieces of paper, what I feel like we can be talking about based on our last meeting was, first we need to do some education. We need to let people know what kind of assistance and resources are available. And then we need to work our way into regulations and enforcement. So I think the focus is, as we help educate people and we look at what we can do, and Austin, of course, with Austin Pets Alive, American Pets Alive, is doing a lot of this right now. And of course, that's where HASS is based, is, you know, just kind of, instead of being very specific with, this is how we do things, it's more of a, what is the picture? What is the circumstance of this animal, of this family, and that sort of thing. And so there are a lot of ways that we can help people keep their pets, care for their pets better, make sure that they're spayed and neutered, which, you know, there's a lot of education around why that is helpful for your pet in terms of health benefits, as well as the preventing overpopulation aspect of it. Vaccines are important for a lot of reasons for other pets they may come in contact with, for you know, wildlife, if we're talking about things like rabies and that sort of thing. And then there are aspects of this new way of looking at things where we try to consider animals maybe not even going into the shelter. If they get picked up, can they identify them in the field, take them back to the home where they belong to, find out why they got out, and if why they got out is something that we can help with. Or in one of the papers that I included here is, I think it's at the bottom of your stack, they actually had a little story. These animal service officers carry bags of fence fixing gear, all donated in their trucks. Well, again, we can't really probably ask our animal care officers to, you know, do a lot of these things right now because their staffing is really tight. But We know that, for instance, Marilyn McGee has helped people with their fencing in the area. And that is the sort of thing that I feel like we could work into, even in agreement with Tractor Supply or Out West or something, to get some tools and some fencing and some things like that and be able to help people and address why this animal gets out. And one of the things that you might notice, I don't expect you to read all these things, but I highlighted some things. And there was one comment in one of these that some people, their pet will get out, they can't afford to reclaim them. And you know what? Let's just go get another one. And so that doesn't really solve anything. So again, if we can figure out, okay, why is this dog continuing to get out? What can we do about it? Is there a situation that's fixable? Maybe they don't have the money to fix their fence. Okay, can we help for $100 or something by putting a better gate or a better latch or that kind of thing? So some of those things are the kinds of things that we can work on as we move forward. So people see all of us as a helping resource, as people that care about them and their pets and their circumstances. A lot of what Haas is focused on right now wasn't really relevant to what we're doing right now, because they're very focused on evictions, breed-specific rental property laws, things like that, where we're not really overwhelmed by those circumstances right now. But the basic ideas behind Haas and behind the whole people and pets movement, and why we kind of went to this expanded logo, is looking at it from a people and pets aspect. I thought it was kind of interesting on this graph that you can see 70% of pets have never seen a veterinarian, and 78% have never contacted animal control services or been in contact with them. And we still find people that will get calls that refer to it as the dog pound, and that believe that any animal that goes in there is going to get euthanized. And so we, try to set them straight at every opportunity. But I think we have an opportunity to reach out into the community with education, outreach, and engagement. And one of the things they talk about in a couple of these documents is outreach is kind of a one-way thing. It's putting information out there. Engagement is talking to the people and getting feedback and then working with that feedback. And I think that these are the kinds of things that we can work on together, between those of us who are in rescue, even the veterinarians and the city resources. And so I think that we could really position ourselves, if we wanted to, as a community like Austin is becoming, where they are realizing, hey, this is a community that cares about pets, that realizes the value of pets in people's lives. There's a ton of statistics about how it reduces healthcare costs, mental health issues, all those kinds of things. And so it behooves us on a lot of levels to care about residents and their pets. This is out of I think it was a 70-page guide that came from the International Municipal Lawyers Association. And it's just some examples of how public-private partnerships work, like, for instance, with Big Bend Pets and Alpine Humane Society, and how, overall a local government can facilitate how social services work together. Mary Ann and I had a really, really heartwarming experience at our last clinic. We had a lady who brought a couple of ranch dogs. She did not speak English. She managed some goats on a bigger ranch where there were other dogs. She wanted her dogs to not get pregnant and have litters. And so she came to our clinic. And then she decided, actually, she dropped them off. She went to get some lunch, came back, and decided she would like a microchip too, in case they disappeared. And she put 2 handfuls of coins on the counter, and you could tell she dug them out from under the seat of her truck and whatever while she was out to lunch. And so we said, this lady does not have resources. She's trying to do the right thing. We kind of lied to her a little bit. We do have donors that support some of the folks that can't afford. So we told her, somebody donated to help one dog in Valentine. Guess what? You're one of them. Dog. Here you go. And so we chipped and vaccinated and spayed her 2 dogs. And as Mary Ann's helping her out to her truck, Marianne speaks Spanish, and they had a conversation, and we found that the lady lived alone in an RV on a ranch. She didn't have food. She was very food insecure, and really had no resources. And we got her hooked up with the food pantry, which distributes in Valentine, with one of our Spanish-speaking representatives, because she had thought about going to the food pantry, but didn't speak English. She was afraid. Yeah, she didn't speak English at all.
Come to the clinic. She had her niece texting me. And I'm like, she was like, no, it's too far. I won't give them time. And I'm like, no, just come. If they're by me, just come. And she was afraid that nobody would want to speak with her. She never.
But now she's regularly set up with the food pantry. She's getting food twice a month and being able to take care of herself. So this whole idea of connecting people with resources that may be causing their problems and working with partners who can refer to us and say, whether it's Meals on Wheels and, hey, this lady is feeding her Meals on Wheels food to her dog because her dog is so precious to her. Okay, hey, we can help with that. We can get her food for her dog, So it's all interconnected. And I would love to see Alpine realize this opportunity to become that kind of community where everything is connected, everything works together, everybody helps. So in these resources, if you just take a look at some of these highlighted ideas, and I just thought this was a cool story about these animal services officers helping people with fences. And again, I feel like a lot of us in the rescue coalition that we have of the 12 rescues and shelters throughout the Trans-Pecos, we can help with some of these things. And we have a good relationship with Jennifer and the shelter. And, we are doing a lot together already. We're absolutely saving lives by transports, cats and dogs. And there's just a lot of things that we're working together on. So I didn't want to take a lot of your time, but I wanted to pass some of these things to you and have you be thinking about them. Some of the methods I think we can reach people include under this EDDM is Every Door Direct Mail. And that little piece of map that I gave you, I think it works out to $400 and some. We could send a postcard to everybody on those routes in Alpine, those mail routes. And in Jeff Davis County, we have used that effectively for voter registration and voter ID understanding. Sent out a postcard, half sheet, basically size postcard, printed on both sides. It's very easy. That's the mailing cost. Of course, you have the postcard cost, but I mean, that's something we could definitely do about the benefits of spay neuter and the availability and the fact that we help subsidize folks at our local vets. Both vaccines and spay neuter. And so a mailing like that might be a good place to start and share some of this information. And of course, we can do media releases. Social media is a big thing here in Alpine, as we all know from the various groups on Facebook. And Dr. Mary mentioned, I think last time, about, interfacing more with the schools and the students about any of these issues. So I think, excuse me, our goals are to have fewer stray animals, which protects other pets, people like hikers, joggers, people riding their bicycles, tourists, livestock, don't want anybody, having their cows or their sheep being chased or killed, and wildlife. You don't need anybody chasing a deer out in front of you, out on the highway. Also, if we can lower the shelter intake, have fewer surrendered pets just simply because somebody couldn't afford their dog's medicine or something like that, have healthier pets, and consider how this all impacts on overall human health and safety. I think these are things that we can do. Another thing, just real quick, I think we can focus on a little bit in the future is identification of animals so that in the field when they are found, a quick license tag lookup or a microchip lookup, the ACO could do right there and say, oh yeah, this dog belongs to these people 3 blocks this way. I can just take it back. Don't even have to bring it into the shelter, which is, of course, it's paperwork, it's the exposure to disease, things like that. So if we can avoid those kinds of things by putting some of these things in place, by letting people know what the resources are, by letting them know that we're here, we care about their bond with their pets, I think we can make a lot of positive impacts to help the shelter and to help our community. And so these would be, basically how I would think we could go about this and what we should like to achieve. So again, we can talk about this as we move forward. I know, you probably want to have some discussions. I could design a couple of pieces of potential mail pieces. We could talk about, as far as messaging and that sort of thing. And we are working with Parks and Rec for improvements to the dog park. We're going to have some increased signage there, improved signage that talks about those things. And that'll be another place where we can, have some links, QR codes and things to the resources that we offer and that sort of thing. So I just think we have incredible opportunity. Do we want to take it to become that kind of community? My say is yes, but it's probably in phases, and then it's a little easier when we get to okay, we want to require spay neuter. We've explained why. We're helping you do it. We're subsidizing the cost. So, what's your excuse, And then you can start enforcing, because people have been given every opportunity basically to overcome any resistance to it. And
We design a postcard, you need to do part of it in Spanish.
yes, absolutely.
Yes. Why? Because that's just the area we live in.
Mhm. And we do have right
It's not
now,
a bad thing.
no, our graphics right now that we do for, we have in the community and on Facebook for the online signups for veterinary assistants. Those have QR codes, for those that are in Spanish and English, and we're trying to do everything in Spanish and
So
English.
you're still looking at an audience that doesn't have Facebook.
Yeah.
Have TV feed,
Right.
like this little lady.
Yep.
And at a dog park, that's a good way to get them.
Yeah.
Because they will do stuff like that.
Yeah,
Well,
You get it down,
technology can be a barrier sometimes. That
Exactly.
technology can cause you to say, I'm not going to do that. It's too much for me.
It'll be me.
well, and we only realized kind of after the fact. We had a gentleman come in, grumpy old rancher guy. I asked him to fill out some paperwork. He's like, I did this already online. And we'll come to find out after we thought about it, we think he couldn't read. He didn't want to fill it out because he couldn't fill it out. He had somebody, yes, we think he couldn't read. So yes, we have to recognize all that stuff. And so that's the thing, whether it's social media, media releases, being on the radio, reaching out to students, sending things home with kids, whatever, all those things. Yeah, exactly.
Let me throw something out, and I've heard this on some other ones. We've talked about it. This getting the pet home right away. There are some places, now they do it in fire stations, where the fire stations has a microchip reader. You find an animal, you don't call animal control, you take the animal to the fire station. Yeah. So I've even talked to Jennifer, we're thinking about PD having a microchip reader. Find an animal, you don't call animal control, you take the animal. If you can, to the PD, they scan it.
It's
See
a
if it
little
doesn't.
handheld scanner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And they can
If
even,
you can't, they can take it to you.
yeah,
Well, yeah.
That's my opinion.
well,
But they can
and
take it to the veterinarian at
And we
any
can
time.
go to them. We have them.
Right.
In Fort Davis, I keep one so that if somebody finds an animal, the vet's not open, I can go over there and scan it,
And that
and-
is a problem. After hours,
Yeah.
people do find pets.
Yes.
They expect animal control to come out. Animal control can't come out. PD is open 24 hours, and that was where the fire department,
Mhm.
because they're open. There's somebody there 24 hours, and thought about just having the microchip there. That way, the animal doesn't even get in the system if it has a microchip.
Mhm.
Obviously, if it doesn't, then it doesn't, which,
Well, the more chip and those kind of go together to me,
Yeah.
chip and vaccine clinics that we can have, either, working with Dr. Mary or whatever, however we may do it. You can get your pet chipped at the shelter for a pretty reasonable cost. If somebody wanted them chipped and they couldn't afford it, we would try to help them pay for it. So yes, being able to identify an animal very simply, and I'd love to create this database where, again, ACOs or, police department, fire department, whoever, could look these up easily
Right.
by either a license tag number or a microchip or both, and immediately find good information on who that pet belongs to.
right, we even talked about, Jennifer downloading microchip database weekly, monthly to the PD in a spreadsheet.
Mhm.
But it hadn't got anywhere yet. And obviously, you know, out doing the job, you don't have time to do these high level.
Well, and I'm hoping some of those things are where we can help because we have pretty good digital infrastructure and we're pretty fortunate to have people that help us with that. We do really cool shared spreadsheet with Dr. Mary's office now, so we don't have to call where they gotta put us on hold and they're really talking to clients and whatever. Boom, it's on this
Right,
spreadsheet.
right.
You
It
can
works
look at
out
it,
really
you know? So yeah, digital infrastructure
Yeah.
helps. And one thing that y'all may be able to answer for me is pet licensing. Okay, I think when you get a pet, right, you get a license.
When you
But
get a rabies vax, you get a license. Is that right?
No, there's two different licenses come out. There's a rabies certificate that you get, and then there's
A
a
city license.
city
city
license.
license,
And city license, they don't get from the veterinarian. They take the rabies vaccination certificate to, if they live in the city limits, to either out there to Jennifer, or I'm not sure if they can get it still at the PD.
But
so
there's a hole because.
yeah, and I was gonna say, I've had the impression there was a hole, and I'm wondering, and I mentioned it to Jennifer briefly, and at the time she was kind of interested, is whether an organization like ours, for instance, could kind of somewhat manage that. You could pick up your license at the thrift store, which is now going to be open 6 days a week pretty soon. Goes into a database, you know, that we can keep and make available to any of these people. And then I'm pretty sure there's not a big follow-up on license renewals.
No,
And what I'm thinking,
it's only if the animal gets picked up, and
Yeah.
comes in.
and so I'm thinking if we were able to manage that, send out the renewal notices, follow up, whatever, those kinds of things, and manage the database. And whatever monies are collected, whether they're paid to the city or to us and we pass them over, you know, then that money is designated for shelter support. You know, we already buy the food for the shelter, we to pay some of their vet bills and things. Okay, maybe all those license fees, if we get involved in collecting them,
Look at city council. Is that something to consider?
I don't know, it's a public-private partnership, which
Yeah.
is always, you got to get the city attorney involved, you know, and things like that. But
I mean, is it, you know, it's a city ordinance that they have to have a city license and a city fee that is collected. I'm just throwing it over to you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not talking about very much money.
It's $15. I think it depends on if you're spay neutered, it's a little higher. If
Yeah.
you're not, certainly they have to show the rabies cert.
Or then $5 this year.
Yeah.
I
In
think
larger
it's,
cities where
Yeah.
I've worked with veterinary practices, in larger cities, mostly the vets collect. city
Yes,
license
yes,
fees,
I
And
understand
they have
that
a separate tag.
Yeah.
So that is already
Jennifer.
a non-state
It all go
entity
through.
handling.
I think that's where it goes through. So they can-
Well, it would, except it's a finance thing, and so all she does is
We
administer.
have no money.
Well, this is the way that, you know, $5 or $15.
Well,
But it
that's
is true, in the big cities, the vets do the city registration. And you
So
just
why
pass the
would
money out.
we-
yeah, and the other thing,
My dad used to do it.
the other thing that we can do for that too is we can take credit cards. You know, and the shelter doesn't take credit cards for anything. And we could, I know, not fast enough, but yeah. And I'm just saying, you know, we're used to having accountability for things, whether it's, you know, grants or different things or whatever, and transparency.
Whenever they get this dog park done, have a big, huge, a big event.
Yes.
Have it out there.
Yes.
Where it's available, right
Yes.
then,
Yep.
right then, start it, and people will go, well, I didn't have the money today, I didn't know y'all did that, but I'll get a hold of it. And
Right.
Maybe start that way.
Right. And,
I
you
would
know,
maybe get the city involved, you get us involved.
Well,
And you're just, it's just.
I know it, but this is for a city registration. This is a
We're-
city license.
we're trying to bring in some
Yeah,
money.
yeah. I
Well,
know.
I did talk to her because she did also share with me, there is software
Yeah.
for pet licensing. And she shared that with me, some links that she had looked into one time for managing it, but you know, she doesn't really have time to manage that. And she certainly doesn't have time to send out renewal notices and that kind of thing. So that's one thing I thought of.
It's the software, it'll do all that.
Well, she doesn't have it, but she had looked into it. And so she sent me her link.
Vacancies now at the shelter.
Yes.
Through ACO, so.
Yes.
See the Little League know your friends. There's 2 ways to go over these.
Yes.
And that means that Jennifer,
And
the
I,
admin goes,
I know.
yeah, well, and I think she'd been looking for a kind of an admin kind of person too, and never even had any applicants, I don't think. So she definitely needs some help.
shelter worker is doing pretty well. Taylor,
Taylor is awesome. Yeah,
but not that admin, the other admin.
yeah.
Homo admin.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, these are all the kinds of ideas where, again, I urge everybody to just kind of think out of the box and how can we work
And if we
together?
can, we'll get it on the agenda.
Yeah.
I'll take a vote. I can't
Yeah.
see us saying, oh, no, we don't.
Well, I'll talk to her
I don't think
again
that'll be the
specifically about the licensing. But I think if we we start urging microchipping, licensing, vaccinations, and we prove that we can help people pay for these things, and then we start, okay, we're going to start requiring spay neuter because requiring, vaccines, especially rabies, whatever, because, and I mean, perfect examples are we are transporting animals to states that have these laws and they have no pets,
Right.
and thank heaven we're able to transport pets there because that is the way we save lives. It is not through adopting them out of
See,
here.
April showed a big, huge plane that came out here and picked up one dog.
Yes.
I was like, we thought, why is he showing this picture? What does it mean? Well, he told us the backstory, and I thought, what a,
Yes.
I mean, what a great big plane.
Yep.
Picked this guy up. I was like.
Yeah,
Did
that-
we do that for cats?
I don't know who
Just
they
check.
were, and I don't know where they even came from. He didn't get to pick up a plane.
I think it was a dog from our shelter. Someone adopted it in Houston or someplace, and it was Bjorn, and they sent a jet out here to get that dog.
And there were 3 people on that 20-seater
Yeah.
jet, and I was like, really, what a lucky guy.
So does anybody have any direct questions for this? I mean, what are you all thinking? What's your impression? How are you feeling? More to be revealed, what?
Somehow or another, things do move forward. It's going, and I see it every day, and yeah, I was telling Janine about this dog named Penelope. She's so sweet, so soulful. She started out jumping up, and within like 2 days, I kept telling her that. And she wants to be with you rather than out there. So, and so he had somebody.
Right.
It's in my house.
This dog had somebody that didn't, but didn't come get her.
That
And
Adam.
didn't come looking.
Adam the cat, the same thing.
Mhm.
He had somebody.
And some of these people too, one of the other aspects of this too, when you talk about costs and trying to work with people is you got people that, their animals picked up for various reasons and they can't afford to get them back, or you have people that really need to they can't keep their animal, they're moving away, whatever, but they can't afford the surrender fee of $30, they'll dump them. Then they become everybody's problem again, so there are a lot of things that we just need to understand people's circumstances, I think.
And just as a perspective, we've come a long way.
Yes.
in Services
Yes.
in Alpine, Texas. I think Mary, Lauren can talk about it. I mean, people used to carry sticks when they walked around at
You
night.
don't see that anymore.
You
I
don't
can
see
walk with
that
Penny and dogs may bark.
Right.
They're not running now.
Right.
That's
She's
awesome.
prepared,
That's
for
great.
8 pounds, ready to kill
Yeah.
them, but they're just not out running around in it. So,
And we have to kind of, now it's like, wow, we've done
and
a
I
lot.
see
How
cats
much
unless I
we've
got a
done.
Lauren jar, they all peek around. What's that like?
Lauren has the cats. But we have to do the next level, and I think Austin back in the day had some of the same discussions.
Definitely.
Where,
Oh, you
it's
can't tell me
scale.
they didn't have big discussions.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and lots of it. I find this data, I have a question. Do you know where this data came from? I don't really have a date on it.
That particular piece, most of this I pulled out of these various publications. And like I said, a lot of these guides and toolkits were 70 pages long.
Yeah,
This one may have come from Best Friends.
okay.
Best Friends, Haybury and Haas are incredible sources of resources, infographics. Did you not get that, Judy? Here.
No, it's under the cliffs. The- Did you? I only have.
We don't have to
We
we don't have to recreate any wheels here. It's all out there. In fact, this one thing I think I picked up from Haas. It's, you know, they call their blog Steal This Idea. You know, I mean, they want us to use these things. And we are actively a member of Haas, a member of Best Friends. We are, you know, well acquainted with Austin Pets Alive, American Pets Alive. You know, so all of these resources are available. This isn't like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a huge undertaking, that kind of thing. It's not really. It's an attitude change. It's an acceptance of looking and being willing to look at a new way of doing things, basically. And
Are
we're
you ready for these 70% of animals? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. man.
yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed any time that I get an animal in at 7 years old and it's never had a rabies shot.
Yep. Or maybe even never been to the vet.
Yeah. I mean, it's never had a rabies shot, really.
And it's still.
No, and I'm saying, do you know that it's required by law in the state of Texas? I was under 4 months old and had this dog. A rabies shot.
I think my house doesn't.
It's just,
I
I'm.
even have one.
So,
And those are the
before
expensive
they-
ones.
Before they leave, they have at least a rabies shot.
Yeah. And you know, that's what we ask too when anybody calls us and says spay neuter, and we're like, okay, you know, we're gonna send you over to ASAP. Is your pet vaccinated? And a lot of them will say no.
About having a dog that needs grooming, because groomers will not take it.
Right. Right.
And
And
I know that for a fact.
we just need to have people understand the reasons why these things are important. It's not because we want to make laws and make you do things and make you spend
It's not
money.
because we're so greedy that we want all the money.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
for the health of the animal.
Right. And so, again, it's an education thing, but I think that's, again, where we start is education through these different channels. And then, you know, showing them where the resources and the assistance exist. And then we can talk about regulations. And I think then the regulations become less of a
Not
hammer,
burdensome. Yeah.
you know?
Makes more sense.
Yeah. So,
Are these numbers specific for Alpine?
no, those are national numbers.
We don't, boy, if I had that kind of granular detail on Alpine, I'm talking to all the grantors about everything. We're lucky we have what we do have.
Well, you know, and that's a good point too, Patsy. Part of the reason we put together this coalition, we call it the West Texas, the Far West Texas, Far West Texas Rescue
Far West.
Coalition. I knew I was missing a word there. And it is virtually all of the shelters and rescues from Presidio, Terlingua, all the way over to Sanderson, up to Fort Stockton, Pecos, Balmorhea. Now we're starting to get people from Van Horn coming back down through Marfa, and everybody in the middle, Fort Davis and everybody else. 12 of us, shelters, rescues. And, you know, based on some success I've had with a project in Jeff Davis County where I live, funders like coalitions, they like collaborations. And the more we can show public-private partnerships, collaborations between organizations, things like that, the easier it is to attract funding. And this whole idea of it's, you know, from probably going to the philanthropy days, you'll sit there and talk to funders and the first thing they go is, we don't do animal stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not animal stuff. It's people stuff. It's community stuff. And so I'm hoping for all our sakes that we can start getting more grants
Right.
based on this idea of collaboration, community, people stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm hoping.
It's hard to say, you know, it's if the money's available. Yeah, and we always do. I know we're not, it's always a competition between what is happening in human welfare and what is happening in animal.
Especially post-COVID,
Yeah.
during COVID, post-COVID, yeah.
Any comments down on this end of the table? Just want to consider it some more.
I would like to read all this stuff.
Okay, well, that's, you're gonna have the summer to read it. And there's plenty more where it came
Yeah,
from.
and I would urge you, you know, if you're really interested in learning some more, again, it's haas.org or .com, Habry, HABRI.org, and Best Friends I think.
Yeah.
I
it is
love
better.
the mail out though. Cause that gets it into houses.
Yes,
Of somebody's house that knows their neighbor's dog doesn't have something. And
Yes.
maybe they'll go talk to them.
Yeah.
Go look.
Yeah.
Look, you can
and
get
the
out
other
there.
thing too, that we really need to get out is our shelter has been no kill for about 7 years, I believe.
Oh, you can't tell people that when they're out there slitting their throats. I hear it all.
But you know, the more we tell them, you know,
Start believing us.
7 years of no kill
It's huge.
is huge. It is really
And the
huge.
feral cat euthanasia.
Yes.
is Steadily going down.
Yes.
Since 20.
Yep.
So, you know, that's all the euthanasia that happens is the feral cat.
Mhm.
So I'll live at Lawrence.
None of hers.
I'm telling you, I pull up over there now, just got two that now they're like, we know this one. They don't want me to touch it,
No.
but boy, they want to come out and see what we're talking about.
They're
Ever so nosy up there.
They're sporting the best hair tip I've ever seen.
Of course, Lauren has named them, all these names that I mean, I have Penny,
I
and it's
know.
what color she is, you know. But Lauren has these elaborate names and I never remember. So if she's not there, I just go, hi, kitties.
All right, well, thank you so much. This is.
Thanks for
really
the
good
opportunity.
information, And
This
I,
stuff gets me excited.
yeah,
You
well,
know?
it does me. I have had the luck of being able to talk to a lot of people, and it's amazing how you can bond over. feral cat.
Yeah.
You know.
People love to talk about their pets,
I mean,
or even their feral cats that live in their yard.
I kind of, I sometimes get I keep it in my head. I know all the cat. I know. But,
There's no,
there is generation after generation. Geo has helped us out. And if you will, 6 of 10, and if you will go to page 8 of 10, you're going to see the two areas that we're going to kind of look at. Let's go to page 8 of 10 first. And this is, get over here. No dog shall be deemed a dangerous dog if the animal control officer determines the conduct of this dog during the incident was justified because, this is C, the dog was responding to pain or injury or was protecting itself. And before it read, its owner, custodian, or a member of its household, kennel, or offspring. We're adding, note, the dog was responding to pain or injury or was protecting itself and was not being provoked by its owner, custodian, or a member of its household. Now, since we've used the word provoked, we have to define the word provoked. And that's on page 6 or 10, 6 of 10. There are two definitions of provoked, and I'd like y'all to take a look at it and see which one feels right.
we
These
only
are,
get one.
yeah, these are both legal definitions. These are both I pulled from a legal definition of provoked. And I'm not going to read it to you unless you want to hear my dulcet voice. What do you think, Mr.?
I like part 2.
You like
Part 2
two?
sounds more Barney style. It's broke down. It doesn't have big words like the big one is.
Okay, well, I can
See,
go,
I was thinking the same thing. It's easier to understand.
A lot easier to understand.
okay.
And it's less words, I think.
Yeah.
Like two.
Mary, what's your opinion?
I mean, 2 is better than 1 because, I mean, what I'm saying is an action can be just though a person walking past a dog's house.
Mhm.
And that to me is not a correct provocation to be able to okay the dog's action that it's bit the person who's riding the bicycle or walking past that person's house.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't want to say that the dog gets off legally just because the person or kid or whomever walked by their house. If they were, I guess, egging the dog on
Mhm.
throwing rocks or inciting the dog in some other fashion
And
to
that's,
purposefully do it.
yeah, that's B.
Yeah, I
yeah.
would, I think that one is just too broad.
Okay, all right. All right, so it looks like we're going to say, now, there are, no dog shall be deemed a dangerous dog if the animal control officer determines the conduct of the dog during the incident was justified, because we have A, B, and D, and then D3, and blah, 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 blah. This is just when we were talking about an owner, and I think y'all remember we had a situation where the owner did provoke the dog. And it was obvious to animal control officers that the owner had provoked the dog, but when it got to municipal court, it was thrown out because we did not have the ordinance written strict enough about provoked. So this is closing a loophole that we didn't have. So now it's going to read, the dog was responding to pain or injury, was protecting itself, and was not being provoked by its owner, custodian, or member of its household. And provoke is a situation or action that encourages, provokes, or incites a dog to bite someone. It can also be actions that excite a dog or cause it to feel defensive, regardless of the person's intent. And that's kind of what happened in this situation.
I don't think he intended the dog to go up and bite that person, but his action certainly caused the dog to think that he needed to defend the owner.
And the animal control officer found that, you know, the dog was a dangerous dog. And not that, you know, they're right all the time or they're wrong all the time, but we didn't have enough in the ordinance to give them enough tools to do what they needed to do. Any comments? Any other comments?
Is there anyone else that could provoke the dog that should be included in that? Is it just owner, custodian, or family member?
Well, don't we have it up there? That's a good question. Let's see.
Well, maybe A.
Yeah, maybe A. I mean, you know, I doubt and was not being, the dog was responding and was not being provoked. Isn't there something?
It says owner could mean anybody that's even allowed a dog to be on their premises for 6 consecutive
Right,
days. Or more.
right.
So
And I thought we had in here, we have ownership requirements. Deemed a dangerous dog shall be sent immediately.
Well, any person who owns, harbors, or keeps, or causes, or permits to be harbored in his care.
8, 10 down there is ownership requirement.
Yeah, and then on page 9, what happens on
On
page
page
9?
6 of 10.
That's
it
the
talks about
appeal.
owner.
Well, and there's also, you know, when we did dangerous dog, we had maybe a paragraph on dangerous dog, and we put in the appeal process. So there is a remedy if somebody feels like they've had a dangerous dog determination and it is not right. So I think in a way that gives a little bit of a hold to other persons. Well, wait a minute, I don't own the dog. Why are you, you know, saying it's a dangerous dog to me?
Do we have a policy in place that requires somebody to register a guard dog or a dog trained to attack?
I think that is in the dangerous dog somewhere.
Or a personal
Yeah.
guard.
Yeah, personal guard.
I see it in here, but it's really vague that it's
Well, and it could be in another article.
true. I'll
Yeah,
have to look it up.
yeah. We can certainly revisit it.
'Cause, I mean, this one just says it
Right.
it can only bite people on hours that people aren't in business.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
well,
I want to say that there is in another section, but I don't have my big book here that I can look it up. But we could certainly revisit it. You would know.
that's what I was curious. I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
if we have anything that we're to-
Any other comments, concerns? I'd be happy to entertain a motion when anybody's ready.
I actually love this edition. It's a really good edition.
Well, we struggled with it for over a year. And then COVID hit. So it was a little longer. I said it was going to be on my gravestone. She was trying to get the dangerous dog determination in. And what
Well, it hadn't taken that long.
thank God. The news was that we actually didn't cover attacking other animals. in our dangerous dog. We just had people, and the minute it attacked a person, it was considered a dangerous dog. But we had a situation where we had a dog that was attacking cats regularly. And, the people that own the cats just had a dim view of that. No, it didn't attack on hers. But it was moving that way.
No, those were the dogs that got up in my rafters in my garage after my cats.
Yeah, they did come to your house. I forgot.
Yeah, they did. And then
They're
before
determined, aren't
before they killed that kitten that night, or I mean, the people's
Yeah.
cat, which was about 2 blocks from me, I went out and found one of my kittens that had been mauled in the backyard, and they had gotten in my backyard numerous times before.
And we didn't have anything. We could do certain things, but we didn't have enough in the ordinance that we could really.
No, but they always had a good old time.
Yeah,
I mean, because they were into it. This is
Yeah.
fun.
yeah. All right, I'm ready to entertain a motion if anybody's ready.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye and scream and all that. Okay. No, we have no opposed. No, yeah, all opposed.
You have to say opposed.
Okay. Am I being recorded right now? Okay.
My world.
Yeah, I know. Okay, we usually take the summer off. Anybody opposed to that? Okay,
Pressing that we need to get to.
unless there's something that needs to get to. Now, like I said, let's all look through this and think about what we can do. If there is an opportunity, I don't know if council wants to entertain it,
I can talk with you, Judy, about
Alright,
maybe coming
that's
before council at some point or something.
and then we could handle the
We don't
details.
get the summer off.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
you
well,
don't
neither
get
do I.
summer
So,
off.
I did look up where the source of that graphic, and it was from the Humane Society of the United States. It is from their outreach toolkit. So it's at humanepro.org, and it's their outreach toolkit.
That's where
Where
this
that
came from?
graphic came
Okay, we just don't know the dates, how old this data is.
This is, let's see when their report is from. I will say, while I was looking at that, as far as coming before council or whatever, I'm also talking to the county to try to get a little bit of their skin in the game with animals, pets, management, vaccines, things like that. So,
Excellent.
yeah, we're trying to look at several things in
Avenues.
communities.
Well, I had a thought, it went away. The data, I was just curious how old it was. Do you all know that pet stores in Dallas can no longer sell pets?
Really?
Yeah, El Paso cannot either.
Yeah.
Can say mental pause.
Yeah.
So are they just selling supplies?
Yeah,
Yep, they can sell other kinds of animals, but not
not dogs.
cats and dogs.
Yeah.
They can sell fish.
Yeah,
Yeah, reptiles,
Birds.
bunnies, birds,
Birds.
but
Okay.
not cats and dogs. If they offer cats and dogs in their store, they have to be from a rescue organization or in partnership with a shelter in El Paso anyway.
and I think that's what Dallas adopted too, which I think is
Probably.
great. Because, pet store here, pet acquisition, 1%. My sister got one in Dallas and before I could stop her, and it was from a puppy mill. And it wasn't in good, it died
Oh,
early.
let's don't talk about the puppy
Wow.
mill.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot
I'll
of
be
puppy.
crying, I won't tell you.
Yeah,
all
there
the
is a lot of
Pomeranian
puppy mill
stories.
legislation. Yeah.
Yeah, Patsy, they don't have a date on this, but this
Okay.
is the
Okay.
current one posted on their
All right.
site. So
So-
I'm gonna say it's current.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, any other comments, concerns? How about a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
And I'll second.
All right, okay, thank you, everybody.
you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Janine, that was great. I think we all have a lot of food for thought.
Thank you for,
Navigating